So, as it turns out, Plato, the great Greek philosopher Plato, he pretty much said what I have already said in previous videos, that opinions are like assholes, everybody got one. In his philosophy, in his books, and he made a distinction between knowledge and opinion. And here's what Plato had to say. He basically said that you form an opinion based on a belief, and that belief is formed based on your previous experiences and your conditioning. Okay, and that creates an opinion. Let's give you an example. Let's say you have an opinion that girls who go out and wear short skirts are sluts. Now that's an opinion, okay? And it's created by your past experiences and your conditioning. So you might have been conditioned to view a woman that goes out to the public with a short skirt as a slut. That could be religious conditioning, cultural conditioning, or perhaps past experiences, because you might have known a woman that wore mini skirts and slept around like pretty much every week she has a new guy, and so you formed in your head that this is a bad thing and she's a slut because the way you picked it up from your social conditioning is a slut is someone who sleeps around. Okay, and so you formed an opinion that a woman that wears a short skirt is a slut. That's an opinion. And then your opinion might go further into saying which is a bad thing. It might just be she's a slut. You might not even have a judgment per se. You might not say this is good, this is bad. All you're saying is she's a slut. But if your social conditioning is even more deeply ingrained, then you would say she's a slut and it's bad. It's a bad thing to do. That's an opinion, okay? And Plato would agree. Plato would agree with this being an opinion. And then he said, okay, we form opinions on reality, our subjective opinions. And then there is knowledge. And how do you know truth? How do you know knowledge from opinion? I mean, really, that's quite difficult. Okay, that's quite difficult. We live in an information age, and I'm sure many of you, when you go into the video, you play it for a minute, and then the first thing you do is you scroll down to the comments because you want to see what other people are saying, right? I do that. I even do that, okay? I'm sure a lot of you guys do the same thing. You play a video, and then as the video's playing, you kind of like instinctually go down in the comments. Opinions. We're addicted to other people's opinions because we do not trust our own truth enough. And now some of these opinions could have validity. And so Plato was saying, look, knowledge differs from opinion in that knowledge itself is an opinion. Okay, so he says knowledge is an opinion. It is an opinion based on previous experience, previous beliefs, and it's an opinion. It's you have an opinion. But what makes an opinion knowledge? What makes an opinion truth? And Plato was a very conscious being. Okay, if not enlightened, very close to being enlightened, very close. Okay, he says that what makes knowledge, what separates knowledge from an opinion, or what takes an opinion into knowledge, into truth, is the good. And the good was the word Plato described for the omnipresent, all evasive, all knowing consciousness, spirit, God. Okay, that's in another word, God. And he says that knowledge is the source of knowledge is the good. And I absolutely love the way he says the good. He described it as the good. That to him, God, was the good. And so that's what takes an opinion into knowledge, into truth. I mean, you could take the statement, we are all one consciousness, and say that's an opinion. Okay? And absolutely is, because it might be your experience. You might have experienced oneness through one way or another, through meditation, through psychedelics, through tantric sex, through childbirth. And so it is your opinion that we're all one. But what makes that the knowledge? What makes that knowledge? What makes it true? What makes it the truth? It is the good. And the good isn't something that you can exactly grasp. It isn't something that is tangible per se. Okay? That's your intuition. That's your inner guru. That's the inner wise, all-knowing being, okay, that knows the truth when the truth is spoken. Dharma is the Sanskrit word for righteousness, for truth, for order, right? And I'll give you an example. I heard the Four Noble Truths. I took a course on Buddhism, and the first thing they're going to teach you is the Four Noble Truths, because it's the foundation of Buddhism. And, I went to classes, and, I made sure I do more than a microdose. And I listened. And, the prof was talking about the Four Noble Truths and life is suffering and this, and that. And I was like, whoa, this is truth. Life is unsatisfactory. The cause of suffering is attachment and desire, and then the Eightfold Path. And I listened to it, and I just knew. This isn't an opinion. Now this is knowledge, and the source of this knowledge is the good. The source of knowledge is the good. It's the inner guru, the creator, the simulator, which is really you, of this whole thing, knows the truths, knows how the whole thing is created and simulated, and knows how to get out of the game of samsara. Okay? So, yeah, I mean, I gotta give a shout out to Plato for confirming, for me, let's say I confirmed what Plato has already said, but really, since we're all this one same being anyway, so it doesn't matter who said it first. We come up with different conclusions on our own. But I really think the statement, opinions are like assholes, everybody got one. I think it's it's my opinion, but I really think it's knowledge. The statement. So you take the statement, opinions are like assholes, everybody got one, and you say, well, that's your opinion, that this is what you think, right? It's Saeed's opinion that opinions are like assholes, everybody got one. Okay, fair enough. But what makes it into knowledge, and I am here to tell you that is knowledge, that is the good. And you have beings, very conscious beings like Plato, who basically came up with that same conclusion. He says that knowledge, the source of knowledge, is the good. It's the one consciousness. So, keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. There isn't too much dharma out there in the sea of information. You've got to be careful here. You've got to be really careful with what you're listening to and who you're listening to. If there is something that touches you on a very deep intuitive level, you listen to it, and you listen very intently. And I will tell you, when you watch my videos, do the same thing, okay? Listen, see, am I just projecting an opinion, or am I projecting the Dharma? Am I projecting knowledge? And the best thing that I could do is to align myself to the best of my ability with the way, with the Tao. I do humming before I make these videos. I hum for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, just to get in flow, because I really want to empty my mind as much as I can, and I want to speak Dharma. And I know I I there are videos that are probably just pure speculation, pure opinion that I make. But I'm giving you myself, my own expression as an example, only as a demonstrative example, because you probably watch many other YouTubers and listen to many other teachings, just as I do. Okay? But lately, I've come to really understand the statement that opinions are like assholes, everybody got one. I mean, this is part 3. I already made 2 videos before about this specific thing because I'm really trying to internalize it in my dictionary. So I'm being a little more selective lately about what I listen to, who I listen to. And in fact, I unsubscribed from so many channels that I listened to before. Not that it's personal, I love them. You know who I unsubscribed from, believe it or not? Joe Rogan podcast. Not because of anything. Joe Rogan got me into psychedelics. Joe Rogan, I mean, I found out about so much from the Joe Rogan podcast. Wim Hof, Duncan Trussell. He got me into psychedelics. When I kept hearing him talk about him and Duncan Trussell talk about psychedelics, I kept, it's like he got me into psychedelics. I unsubscribed not for other reason other than I need to be selective about what I listen to now. That's all. It's not, he's obviously has some great guests, and I'll hear about it. Paul Stamets or whatever. If somebody comes in, Duncan Trussell, I'll hear about it. I'll know about it, right? But I'm just trying to be more selective here, because for example, Joe Rogan podcast, the Joe Rogan experience is very broad, and it's incredible. It's amazing. I love Joe Rogan. It's very broad. The only thing is I need to be more specific now about the type of content that I am eating, that is being fed to my mind. Okay, that's it. That's so. I'm gonna tell you this. Do not hesitate to unsubscribe from my channel. Do not hesitate. And in fact, if you feel something here, I'm telling you right now, hit the unsubscribe button. Do not. Nothing is personal. God, we take things so personal. It's not personal. It's business. Okay, none of it is personal. You've got to see where do I want to keep my attention right now. Where do I want to keep my attention? Right? And then you go there. If you feel like you no longer need to keep your attention in, say, the topics that I discussed, you unsubscribe. Not because you don't like me anymore or you don't like the content, but because now your attention needs to be somewhere else. Maybe let's say you're really unhealthy right now and you need your attention to be strictly on health at the moment, right? And maybe, channels like mine are not exactly specific on health. I do health videos, but not very specific. You know what? You unsubscribe. You unsubscribe. You now, because if I'm not a health expert and I don't know everything about health, and you don't need my opinion. You need someone else's opinion that is knowledge that comes from the good. So then you look for it. It's very hard to find knowledge, dharma, wisdom, truth. It's very difficult. I'm telling you right now, it's very, very difficult. 99.999% of everything out there, including my material, it's opinion. It really is opinion. It is not coming from the good. It is coming just from, this is my experience, this is my programming. Here it is. Okay, you've got people's opinions that, vegan diet doesn't work anymore. That's their opinion. You've got people saying, eating meat doesn't work. That's opinion. Now, one of them could be knowledge. It could be knowledge. You could make the argument, for example, that we're not meat eaters. I'm just giving you an example here. And you could say that's knowledge. That's not an opinion. Now, it's up to you to see where knowledge is and where opinion is. Okay? Just keep in mind, opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. If you've got to write this on your wall and get up every morning and look at it for a week, then take it down, but make sure you internalize it. Everybody, or what is it? Opinions are like assholes. Everybody got one. Okay? So listen with your intuitive heart. How do you listen with your intuitive heart? Meditate. How else? There's so much clutter. You need to be in silence. If you're going to listen to your intuitive heart, there's going to have to be silence. There's going to have to be nothing, emptiness. And out of that emptiness, there's an old Buddhist adage, stop talking, stop speaking, and there isn't anything you don't know. There isn't anything you won't know. There isn't anything you won't understand. So the way you listen with your intuitive heart to see if there is any objective truth to a statement is you be as silent as you can and as empty as you can. Empty your mind, meditate, spend time in silence, do what you need to do. And then when you listen to something, because you're empty, again, here's another Zen Buddhist adage. See, these things, these lines, like the Tao and all, that's truth. That's Dharma. That's Dharma. You just listen to it, you're like, yeah, that's how it is. That's truth. That's knowledge. That's from the good. Okay? So then there's a saying, a Zen Buddhist saying, the truth waits for eyes unclouded by longing, unclouded by desire. What does that mean? If you're empty, you don't desire things to be any certain way, and you listen to something. You're not trying to impose anything, any beliefs. You're empty. Your mind's empty. You're silent. And you listen to something. And you just know. You know if it's bullshit, if it's an opinion, or if it's Dharma, if it's truth. Okay? And yeah, it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult to make the distinction. It's so hard. It's so difficult. And I do not claim whatsoever to be a pure conduit for the Dharma, for the truth. By no means. I am stuck in this game. Why else am I here? I'm trying to get out of here. Okay? Why else am I here? I'm stuck here. So, be careful when you listen to me or my videos. Take it always with a grain of salt. Empty your mind and then start to clear and clutter. Clear everything. Reduce and reduce and reduce until all action is reduced to non-action. Then when nothing is done, nothing is left undone. You reduce and reduce and reduce. So now I think maybe I'm subscribed to 15 or 20 channels, and most of them at the moment are, Buddhist, Hindu, Taoist type channels, because that's where I need my consciousness to be at the moment. Okay? And I sense there's a lot of truth in there, knowledge, not opinion. Okay? What I sensed in these systems is not a lot of opinion and a lot of knowledge. Of course, there's always opinion. Always. Every system no system is perfect. Right? But I sensed with my intuitive heart that there is a lot of knowledge there whose source is from the good, and it isn't just another asshole, another opinion. Okay? So, and the other thing that I've got to be more aware, more conscious of when I make videos is the karma that I'm unconscious of creating. Meaning, if I say something that misleads you, I'm bound by that karma. You understand what I'm saying? I'm bound. And that's why I'm very kind of careful talking about some stuff that I don't feel like I should be talking about. Because I haven't yet discerned if this is opinion or if this is knowledge. I talk a lot about the Four Noble Truths in Buddhism and Taoism because I just know that's knowledge, and I'd like to be a transmitter to knowledge. Okay? So, why am I making this video? I think I'm making this video for me because I need to be more conscious, to become a better conduit for truth, for Dharma, for righteousness, for knowledge, as opposed to just an opinion. Until I can become better, be careful of my videos, be careful of everything that I say. Do not follow, okay? I'm telling you right now, do not praise me and do not blame me. It is what it is. This is the way, this is the Tao. It's the way it's expressing itself. It's the way it is. and it will always be the way it is. Okay, I do not want to help you, and I don't want to unhelp you. I do not want to be the Lord Jesus the Savior, and I do not want to be misleading or mischievous. I just want to be, and I will continue to be. Okay, because intention creates karma. I just gotta let the karma finish off and peace out. Okay, so that's about it. Thank you guys. Thank you for listening. And I really appreciate the Patreons and appreciate your patience with my rants. And sometimes I question, why the hell are you listening? But truth is, there is some knowledge in these videos. There is some knowledge being transmitted. So I dig while you listen, because there definitely is knowledge here. There definitely is dharma. And yeah, if you'd like to support us, support the growth of this community, of this channel, of these whatever this happening, maybe buy me a cup of tea. $2 a month. It costs you $2 a month. It'll add up. It'll add up for this community. I'd like to do this full time. I do this part time right now. I'd like to do this full time, and I'd like to grow the community and have more funds. The more funds we have, the more cool things we could do. Okay, all over. So thank you very much, and until next time, may the force be with you.